Okay, so as requested, here is the example of a Unit 2 paper. This is the November 2010 paper. Let's start with question 1, a question on ratio. Grace and Jack share £140 in the ratio 3:4. Work out the amount of money that Jack gets. So in total, we have 7 shares in total. We know that there's £140. So if I share £140 between the 7 shares, each share is worth £20. And I know that Jack gets 4 shares, so 4 times 20 equals 80. So answer question 1, £80. First, I want to simplify 4b times 2c. Now 4 times 2 is 8, times by b, times by c. So my answer then is just 8bc. Okay, I want to expand 3 lots of 2w take away 5t. So let's do the first part. 3 times 2 is 6, so 3 times 2w is 6w. 3 times minus 5 is minus 15, so 3 times minus 5t gives me minus 15t. So my final answer, 6w minus 15t. Okay, let's have a look at the third one then. Expand and simplify x plus 7 times by x minus 2. So let's do x times x, that gives me x squared, plus 7 times by minus 2, that gives me minus 14, plus 7 times x, plus 7x, and x times by minus 2 gives me minus 2x. So collecting together like terms, I have x squared, 7x take away 2x is plus 5x minus 14. Final answer then, x squared plus 5x minus 14. Okay, let's go on to the next question then. So question 3 then. Work out 15% of £80. So 10% is just going to be £8. Get that by dividing by 10. Half that, 5% is £4. So in total, 15% equals £12 by adding. Nothing to that one. I want to find what angle marked X is. I know that AFB and CHD are parallel, so I can use these facts. So, first of all, if this is 110 degrees here, I know that this must be 70 degrees, because angles in a straight line make 180. So if that's 70, I know this one here, this must be 70 as well, by alternate angles. And then I know that 42 add 70 add x must make 180, because I've got a straight line here too. So working that out, I should work that x is going to be 68. Because now 68 add 42 makes 110, add 70 gives me 180. Right, next question. So I want to find the lowest common multiple of 8 and 12. Easiest way to do this, I'm just simply going to write down all the multiples. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, so on. I'm not going to write all of them, just that many to start with. 12, 24, 36, 48, and so on. What's the lowest numbers in both lists? Well, it's 24. So the lowest common multiple then is 24. Okay, next question then. I want to work out the number of sides of a regular polygon when the interior angle is 140 degrees. When the interior angle is 140, this means that the exterior angle must be 40 degrees, so that if we add these two together we get 180. Now the key formula I need is that 360 divided by the number of sides equals the exterior angle. So 360 divided by some number I don't know yet equals 40. Or to rearrange that, 360 divided by 40 gives me the number of sides. So 360 divided by 40, 36 divided by 4 is 9. So it's a 9-sided shape, nonagon. Okay, next question. I want to change the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit using this formula that I'm given. So let's change 20 degrees centigrade into Fahrenheit. So my temperature in Fahrenheit is 1.8 times by the temperature in centigrade, which is 20, add 32. So 1.8 times 20 is going to be 36, add 32, which is 68. So 20 degrees centigrade is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so next I want to be able to use this information in order to plot a graph. Now the first thing I want to do then, before plotting my graph, is to set up a table of values. So we're going to have two rows, temperature in centigrade and Fahrenheit, and we're going to pick some convenient values. Now I already know that 20 degrees centigrade works out as 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's one pair of values for my table. We then need to pick a couple of other easy to use points. I'm also going to take the temperature when it's 0 degrees centigrade and 10 degrees centigrade. So let's take it when it's 0 degrees. So the temperature in Fahrenheit is 1.8 times by 0, add 32. Well, 1.8 times 0 is just 0, add 32, gives me 32. And when it's 10 degrees, then the temperature in Fahrenheit is 1.8 times by 10, add 32, which is going to be 18, add 32, which is 50. So now I've got 3 points. I can just plot these on the graph. I'll leave you to do that, and then draw a straight line joining them up. And then finally for part C, use your graph to change 100 degrees Fahrenheit into Celsius. We're just literally going to read off our graph. Go along from 100 degrees Fahrenheit and go down to Celsius. Okay, so we want to work out how much fertilizer is going to be needed to cover all of this grass. So the first thing we want to do is to work out the area of the grass. Easiest way to do this is to work out the area of the rectangle and take away the area of the triangle. So let's work out the area of the rectangle. Nice and simple, all we have to do is multiply the two sides together. 12 times 7, which is 96 meters squared. Next we need to work out the area of the triangle. Almost as easy, we multiply the two sides together, but with a triangle there's an extra step, we divide by 2, which works out 9 meters squared. So the area of the grass must equal 96, take away 9, which is just 87 metres squared. So we worked out the area of the grass, but we're not done yet. We need to work out how many boxes of fertiliser will be needed. So to do that, we know we need 87 metres squared. So one box does 32 metres squared. So two boxes would do 64 metres squared. That's still not enough. And three boxes would do 96 metres squared. So clearly then we're going to need 3 boxes of fertiliser to cover that area. Okay, so question 9. Last year, Jorah spent 30% of his salary on rent, 2/5 of his salary on entertainment, and 1/4 of his salary on living expenses. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change all of those amounts into percentages. So 2/5, that's the same as 0.4, which is 40%. One quarter, well, I know that's just the same as 25%. So, if he spent 30% plus 40% plus 25%, that means he spent 95% of his salary. That means that he saved 5%. So we now know that Jorah only saved 5% of his salary. So let's work out how much his salary was in total. We know that 1/4 of his salary was 3,600. So then his whole salary must be 4 times as much, which is £14,400. I want to work out 5% of this. So 10% is 1,440. 5% would be half of that, 720. So he saved £720 last year. Okay, so now I want to factorise fully 20w squared y plus 24y wy cubed. So first I want the biggest number that goes into 20 and 24. Well, that's going to be 4. I want the biggest thing that goes into w squared and w. That's just w. And the biggest thing that goes into y and y cubed is just y. So I know what goes outside my brackets. I put in my single bracket. What do I multiply by 4 to get 20? That's 5. What do I multiply by w to get w squared? That's w. And what do I multiply by y to get y? Well, that's just 1, so I leave it alone. What do I multiply 4 by to get 24? That's 6. What do I multiply w by to get w? So that's just 1, so I leave it alone. And what do I multiply y by to get y cubed? That would be y squared. Now I want to factorise m squared plus 3m minus 40. So I want two numbers that multiply to give me minus 40 and add to give me plus 3. So let's look at factors of minus 40. As my answer is negative, I know that if I'm multiplying, I want one positive and one negative. So it could be minus 40 and 1, or 40 and minus 1. It could be minus 20 and 2. Or 20 and minus 2. It could be minus 10 and 4, or 10 and minus 4. It could be 8 and minus 5, or minus 8 and plus 5. So I want two of those that are going to add together to give me 3. Well, it's going to be 8 and minus 5. So I know that in my brackets it's going to be m plus 8, m minus 5.